Okay, we're here with University of Scranton women's head basketball coach Trevor Woodruff. Coach, good morning, first of all.
Good morning.
Good to see you. Job.
Well, it's been great. I can't say enough about the support that we've gotten, that I've gotten from the community, from the girls in particular. They've really been, really had open arms in terms of accepting me and understanding that, there's a new coach, but we can still continue to do a lot of the things that have made the program successful in the past. So I really have no complaints. It's been a good start to what I expect to be a really great long-term future. I'm not sure any of the challenges have been related to gender.
Mm-hmm.
I've found these girls to be as receptive and responsive to the things I've asked of them as the men were. They work just as hard. They're just as focused. They're as committed to winning as any men's team I've coached. So in terms of the gender, that hasn't really weighed in. I would say the biggest challenges have been the same challenges you would have with any change, and that is developing new relationships, figuring out which end is up, so to speak, how Scranton does things, how the systems work here, learning the strengths and weaknesses of the players. So those things I think are typical. And honestly, the gender, I haven't spent much time thinking about the gender in terms of what we do. It's not like we make a practice plan different because we're coaching women. It's really the philosophies and the expectations and the principles that we teach have stayed the same. I would say two things. In addition to that, the 30-second shot clock, which had I still been with the men would have been a change for me regardless, because the men have gone to the 30 seconds. So that is a little different. That forces us to not necessarily change, but to just adjust how we play offensively. You got to do things a little bit quicker, be a little more direct with the timing of things. In terms of the quarters, I do have some experience having coached high school of coaching with quarters. I think there's some pluses and minuses to it. I think it'll be a feeling out process with this particular team. A lot of times your depth or lack of depth can be exposed or highlighted based on how the game is set up. So we'll see, as the roster kind of figures itself out, how we'll use the four quarters as opposed to the two halves to our advantage. Yeah, I think it's interesting. The girls that we have coming back, they all have varying levels of experience. Starting with Sarah Payunk, who's played a lot, and we expect to continue to be a leading player for us, an all-conference type player for us. But even for her, with that experience, her role changes. She has gone from being facilitator, kind of a very skilled role player, playing alongside of Meredith Maceris and some of the really, really strong players they had last year, to now being kind of the focal point. And it'll be interesting to see how she handles that, adjusts to the attention she'll get from opposing teams. I think Alexis Roman is in a position to really have a breakout year. She's got all the makings of an all-conference, all-region, all-American type player, in my opinion. When you look at the guard position, we've got really two players with some experience, and that's Jackie Gantz and Noelle Alisay. I think both in the early season have proven to not only be strong leaders, but good players and players that we'll lean on throughout the season. When you look at the young kids, I think there are two who have a chance to make an early impact, both guards. Bridget Mann and Christina Peden both can play some point guard. Bridget can move off the ball a little bit. I would suspect that both of them are going to play big roles as freshmen for us this season.
Okay, now just kind of to wrap this up, just overall, what are your expectations going into the season? Obviously, this program has high expectations every single season, but just for you personally and for the women on the team, what are their expectations this time? Once we get to March, what are you expecting from this team?
Well, I think you said it. The Scranton Lady Royals have set a high expectation. The tradition of excellence that Mike Strong and Deanna Klingman built here speaks for itself. And it wouldn't matter who the next coach was. It's me, and I'm glad to be here. That expectation isn't going to change. So we've entered the preseason with the idea that we're going to compete to win a conference championship and to make some noise in the NCAA tournament. That is always the expectation. And so that continues to be, it's something we talk about. We don't hide from it. I took this job in many ways because of that expectation. I wanted to be a part of a program that could compete for national titles. And I'm optimistic that down the road we can do that. I like the idea of having the bullseye on our chest, and I think when you look at Scranton's record versus the league over the course of time, they've really been a powerhouse. And as a result, other teams circle that game on their schedule. And I look forward to that challenge. I like the idea of coaching the best team. We're coaching one of the best teams every year and playing with that pressure of maintaining the expectation and maintaining the winning tradition.
Okay, thank you, Coach.
You bet.